So hey, how's it going on? My name's Liz Croshu. This is the Kit podcast, or Keeping It Together, and we're just talking about how we kept it together.
Hi, Lewis. I'm really
Hi.
happy to speak with you today. My name is Leah May Walker, and I am Nlaka'pamux, and I have kinship ties and responsibilities at Seabird Island, and I'm also Danish and English.
Oh yeah.
And I am speaking to you from wlélex, which
Okay.
a Squamish Musqueam word for Bowen Island.
Oh, cool.
Which is Coast Salish. It's on the Salish Sea, Coast Salish Sea on Turtle Island.
So we're talking about keeping it together, right? And a lot of that kind of comes around, the pandemic and stuff, and like what we did to, I guess, keep it together, right? Like it's kind of in the name, I guess, right? So like, what was your thing? Like, what did you use, right, to help you get through, I guess, some of the tough times that a lot of people have faced, right, over the last couple of years?
I can think of three things. One, in particular, that I did a lot of was knitting.
Knitting.
I knit, and
knit.
So I made sweaters. I made a sweater for my daughter. I'm still knitting a sweater for myself, and I had knit another sweater for myself.
Yeah.
And then one of my coworkers was knitting these beautiful little face cloths that were caught very delicate pink, and they had swear words in them.
Right.
So swear words like shit. You
can just say them, I guess.
Damn.
If it's an issue, we can just cut it out in post, I guess. I don't know if it's an issue or not, but you know what? That's what you're doing, though. Yeah.
Can you imagine? And so beautiful little face cloths. So I've started knitting them, and they're a little bit subversive because you think that they're really sweet and pink, and then you open and it's got something like, look at that.
I can see it as like being kind of like cathartic. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I what got you into that though? Like, where did you start? Like, what made you interested in knitting? Or
do you ever need to write stuff down? Of course you do. Well, good news. Adam here from the Kit, or Keeping It Together podcast. I'm glad to announce some new swaggy pens from one of our sponsors, the Indigenous Primary Healthcare and Policy Research Network, or the IPHC PR. We got regular pens for your traditional writing needs and fancy style for when your signature is needed on important documents. And while you're at it, maybe it's time to upgrade your writing on materials while you're on the go and pick up one of our stable notepads with the IPHC title and logo at the top. Keep a lookout for our events and podcasts to see how you can get your hands on one.
Like sweaters or your face cloths or whatever. Like what was the catalyst for that? When did you start? What's your inspiration?
I started, my grandmother used to crochet and always doing something with her hands, right? So as you're talking or doing all of those, sitting. And so knitting is the same thing, and you can actually make something beautiful. It requires you to use your mind and also, to use some engineering. And at the same time, it's very relaxing. It's like meditation. And it's not overwhelming. If you think about our go-to in the world has been the Internet of Things. And we get used to things moving at a really fast pace. You can flip through lots of things with your finger very fast as you're looking on your phone or gaming or whatever. This actually asks you to slow right down because you can only do a stitch. I mean, you can do stitches fairly fast, but it's a pretty meditative process, and it's it requires a certain amount of attention.
Right.
So that's what's so beautiful about it. That's what I liked about it.
I definitely appreciate that about it though. And like honestly, like I'm looking for personally more things like in my life that are like that, because like I don't know, I feel like I'm part of the generation where everyone is just looking to be constantly stimulated, right? Like this isn't like, I'm not trying to like make like generalizations about, you know, us. Like I mean, I guess I'm 26, so I think I'm like it's kind of ambiguous what generation I'm part of, but I definitely am part of a generation that like grew up with technology and stuff. And like I definitely, you know, see that in myself as well as like my peers, is that like most of our hobbies, including a lot of my hobbies of course, right, just like kind of revolve around this constant like dopamine, constant like stimulation. And like I think that like burns you out, you know. Like for me, like reading is kind of like something like that for me, where I take it, I slow down, and or even just like sitting outside and in the park. But like I think that like having something that you're making, right, like I feel that the act of like producing something and making something that's like yours and that like only you made it, right, I think there is definitely like a zen to it, you know. And I guess I was saying it's cool, I like it, it's cool, I dig it.
Oh, thanks, Lewis.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, and the second thing is very similar. It's
Okay.
beading.
Beading. Yeah, we talked a little bit about beading and doing some beading work. I think Bridget, who's also doing this podcast with me, interviewed someone about beading the other or last week, I think, too. So it's topical.
I was just sitting at a camp with some elders. We done some canoeing.
Mm-hmm.
And part of just sitting around and being in nature and learning, getting some teachings. But as we were sitting there by the fire, we were all doing lots of beading as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a beautiful way to share knowledge and designs and also to make some beautiful things. And it was very lovely to bead, you know, with, again, my peers, male and female. Everyone was beading, you know.
Yeah, for
And the
sure.
third thing, Lewis, the
Okay.
third thing that was the thing that really kept me alive during COVID and kept me going was, especially in those early days when we were so isolated from each other. You know, we
Mm-hmm.
could only see each other on these Zoom screens, which are pretty cool that we could do that. But just that whole being with each other and feeling cut off from any kind of stimulation. So you talk about stimulation. And part of my work also is working in the downtown east side, and it's of Vancouver.
Yeah.
Is very intense work, right? When you're working and you're seeing some of the harms that our peoples have been subjected to due to colonial policies and histories, and how that plays out in how people live their lives. You see a lot of trauma, and you see a lot of, it's very intense. And so in order not to take that on, you know, brushing off and with the elders has been really helpful, and sage. But for me, the thing that meets that trauma, that intensity of what I see, is cold water swimming, like the spirit baths. But this was just ocean swim. There was a couple of other girls on the island that were doing that, and I thought, okay, I'll do that. And I started doing it. I got myself a wetsuit, which it's a workout in itself, putting it on. And I would go really, I go into the ocean every week. And that was my church, was to go into the ocean and go swim for a half an hour or so when it was snowing, when it was raining, in February, like all through the year, to go for a swim in the wild. And it's so cold. The temperature would be like 4 or 5 degrees, like cold in that ocean. So intense and magnificent, because with the wetsuit, you warm up a little bit.
Yeah.
And you're looking at the sky. You might meet a sea otter or a seal. You might see some whales off in the distance. might see some eagles going by or see some ducks that come and talk to you. Like, it really is the most amazing experience. It's so beautiful. And then
it like takes you out.
Totally.
And like, yeah, it lets you
Totally.
reconnect. Like, I don't know. I feel like, I don't know, the way you're describing it and stuff, like the way, you know, I'm thinking, I'm imagining myself like going and doing some cold water swimming. I've actually worn a lot of wetsuits in my life because, like, you know, with my family and stuff, we've done like, and then they've done a lot of like surfing at Tofino and stuff, you know, so they actually kind of get it, right? And they do it, but like I don't know, it feels like this kind of like total, like a disconnect, like you disconnect from just everything, and you're in this like state of mind where you just are able to really just kind of appreciate what's around you and like the beauty of it all. You know what I mean? I lived in Vancouver, you know, I narrowly I narrowly avoided getting a degree in environmental science at UBC, but you know, I didn't end up finishing. But I was there, and like like Vancouver was very odd for me, I guess. It feels like a place of like dichotomies almost. You have like all this natural beauty and it's gorgeous and like stuff, but then you go, like I rode, you know, the 14, I believe, and like up and down East Hastings and stuff, and you see like the other side, I guess, of Vancouver, right? Like it's like you're actually, you know, helping and working, right, with the problem and stuff, and like my experience was just as an observer, almost as like a college student on his way to do something else. But like even that was like that, it was so heavy duty for me, you know, especially coming from Calgary, where, you know, things are, we still have issues and things are getting worse, honestly. But like, you know what I mean? It was a bit like, whoa, this is the big city for me, you know. So but like I totally like understand the need for something like that when you're working in an area with like so much, I guess, yeah, like you said, trauma, you know.
Yeah. And resilience too, but in order to keep yourself resilient, I had to do it for sure.
Yeah.
And you talk about disconnecting. It's not even disconnecting. It's almost like, you know, a trauma response, or when you is kind of to disassociate. And so that wasn't it. It's about meeting that and being able to meet that. So it's actually deep divine connection is what it is. Like, you not only feel all of your senses come alive, but you also kind of feel beyond that. Like, it's really powerful. Like, it's really, really beautiful. And we often don't give ourselves those experiences of being like absolutely present with the world.
Yeah. Being present, and like, I guess there's like a lot of ways I've heard it say, like mindful, or, you know, living in the moment or whatever. But yeah, no, I do agree. There's like so many things that are almost, you know, designed to keep you from that, right? I mean, if we look at like the things that people like, you know, I guess I don't want to even say my generation. I think everyone at this point has been totally taken over. Their lives have been taken over by social media. It's become so integrated into like, you know, the modern human experience and stuff. And it's so like, you know, synonymous with just like existing at this point that like, you know, everyone is doing it, but like, I mean, it's designed by design to keep you engaged with it, right? Like it's, you know, social media and like stuff online or whatever it is, like it's designed to keep you coming back and put as much time as possible into it. And I think it's like really easy to get out of like the habit of like disconnecting from that, you know. I know we already talked about disconnecting and like kind of redid it, but I think
connecting, right? It's connecting,
like literally disconnect from it.
Yeah. Connecting with your relatives. Like, I felt like also, Louis, it like to expand what I'm learning from that process is because, you know, like our Zoom and everything is a certain amount of connection, granted, that we got from it. And a lot of people have talked about it. That's been beautiful, that we haven't been able to connect with. And to be on the land, or literally like in the water in that intense way, kind of is just a reminder of how caring and nurturing Mother Earth is, and our ocean is, and I felt held and cared for, which is such a beautiful thing to do for yourself. But also, you know, it reminds me of the beauty of the planet. So and all of the people that we're connected to, like the ocean people and like all of our relatives, that's what was so beautiful. It made me realize how much a part of all of it we are. And it's easy to forget. It's easy to forget that in our world. And so we make compartmentalize like, oh, that's the environment and this is that. And I don't know. I think the teachings of everything being connected is really important.
Relationalism.
Exactly.
In other words, yeah. No, and I totally agree, right? I mean, I don't know. I find myself spending time in nature a lot. Like my family always encouraged me to do it, and they always wanted to get me out of the house and stuff when I was a kid. But I was like, nah, that's lame. I want to just play video games. And then I did, and then I became an adult, and I just play video games. And now, like, I definitely like now that I've gotten older in my life, it's like, oh, actually, my parents were right. I do need to get outside and like actually appreciate like the rest of the world and the earth. And like, video games are fun sometimes and stuff, but like it can't be like, you can't only just disconnect from the rest of the world and stuff. And like, because like, what's the point of almost existing on this like beautiful planet, right? Mm-hmm. So like, I've been finding myself going out a lot. I walk my dogs like, or my dog, I guess, for like, twice a day for a pretty long walk. She needs it, right? But like just getting out and like, not bringing my headphones or anything, because I used to do that too, just going out, like sitting around in a forest, hanging out with my dog, just like appreciating the things around me. It just, it brings you down to like kind of like what really does matter in your life and like what does make you happy, which is like, what like your surroundings and and whatnot. And I don't know, I'm just rambling at this point, but
no, I totally hear you, Lewis. And I just want to say, if we're talking about generations, your generation has like I work with a number of people your age, and they're teaching me a lot about slowing down, mm-hmm. down and being, and taking that time. And just that consciousness of needing to take that time. So it's really good that you're listening to that.
I used to have this irrational fear of the ocean. You know what I mean? I don't think it's a really irrational fear. I think it's like, it's dangerous, right? But like when I lived in Vancouver, I was like, man, I don't want to go swimming. I don't want to get eaten by like some sort of eldritch being or something. And that's hanging out at like, Jericho Beach. Like it was like, I don't know. But now it's like, maybe I should, like no, I'm thinking about it seriously.
Oh yeah.
Just get over that fear.
Yeah. You just have to go with somebody and then you start to realize, oh, wow, it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it would be nice, honestly. And I don't know, the way you describe it too, it sounds great. So it sounds like an experience that I would enjoy.
It would.
But yeah, no. So thanks for showing up again. Thanks for coming and talking to me. I got to say that, yeah, this was the KIP podcast, or Keeping It Together. We're going to be doing more. If you enjoyed this conversation and you want to hear about more things, you, the listener, but also Leah, this will probably see as well. If you want to listen to, hear about more things that you can put in your kit or whatever, of wellness and whatever, I don't know, whatever I'm supposed to say, that stuff, right? Come listen. And we'll be talking about more stuff like this. We'll be hearing more perspectives and more experiences from people. And maybe you, the listener, or whoever, even me, I mean, obviously me, of course, as well. Like we'll all take away something and we'll all, hopefully learn, some things that can help us out with dealing with, the hard things in life that come, right? So, again, yeah, thanks everybody for showing up. And, we'll talk to you later. All right, bye-bye.
Bye.